Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Another week of Ranger hockey in the books. 1-1-1 this week. One win against Philadelphia, one outright loss against the Bruins, and one overtime loss against the Red Wings. And this is when I'm starting to wonder what the Rangers are doing. I know it's still early, and I get that stuff can change easily by the end of the month, even by the end of another week. But I do think that you can start to point out some flaws here, and that the defense right now is probably the biggest one, and perhaps the offense as well. The Flyer game, they look great. I mean, they dominated the game quite a bit handily. It was Philadelphia's goalie doing a fine job. But it seems like they come out strong in the first period. Second period kind of takes like a gear down. In the third period, they always seem to be out of gas or seem to be chasing at that point. Of course, Philadelphia, though, I think the offense wasn't necessarily that bad. It was more like that the enemy was the post most of the time. I think they hit 4 of them in that game. Completely dominated, though. They outshot Philadelphia, I think, almost 2-1. Had over 40 shots, I believe. Shesterkin does get a shutout. Game had to go to overtime. Kreider gets a goal and a nice backhand. That game was great. Can't really complain about it. Bruins, well, the Bruins are the best team in the Eastern Conference for a reason. They definitely showed it there against the Rangers. And the Rangers didn't play bad. It was a very strong first 2 periods of them, and then the Bruins eventually just took over. Not much else they could really do at that point. Once it became 4-2 was over at that point, and then 5-2 just added on. I think the most frustrating game was probably the Detroit game, and this is because this is where I think those criticisms that I brought up just a moment ago really apply. Because they came out strong. The first period was good. Offense looked great, handling Detroit just fine with all their rushes. The second period, both teams maybe felt a little more even. Detroit probably had a little more of an edge. And then the third period, both teams played fine, but very, very non-aggressive. I felt like no team really took a big chance one way or another. That was Halak's only game this week. Unfortunately, he lost that, and that wasn't his fault. A 3-2 final in overtime. And the defense really let Halak down in this one. The first goal, nothing could be done about that one. That was just an excellent redirect by Detroit and their forward there. No one was going to stop that. Second goal, though, you're just looking at it was a complete breakdown of defense, because Detroit's forward carries it in, passes it over, and when he gets the puck off him, both Rangers defenders, I forget who was on the ice at the time, forgive me for that, they both follow the puck, and the guy who just passed it literally splits right in between them. Neither one decided to pick him up, and then he just sits out there in front of the net for a rebound that goes past Halak. And then of course Detroit scores in overtime there. Halak was visibly upset about it. I think he broke his stick. I mean, and rightfully so. He did not play a bad game. I felt he deserved a win in that one. The team just seemed to run out of steam and just didn't have the momentum going for that. So I think that's really where it comes down to right now, that this season needs to have this early on, they need to really take a look at that defense, because Shesterkin right now isn't looking like he did last year. Not to say he's playing bad by any means. Igor still plays perfectly fine. But he certainly isn't standing on his head, being able to steal games as much as he was last year. The offense is still looking like it needs to find a couple things here and there. I know it's younger now. It's guys who didn't play last year really all that much are now back on the team here. The top 6 need to bring it together. I think they're doing fine production-wise. I just feel like they can get a little more out of them. And then in net, Shesterkin's fine. Halak has been fine. Maybe one game he has had that's been kind of lackluster. But it's the defense is going to be the biggest thing. Not sure what it's going to take. I know the third pairing of Jones and Schneider, they're both young. I understand they're both growing into the game. So that might be where the focus needs to go to. Trouba and Miller seem to work fine. And Lindgren and Fox. Top pairing for a reason. Fox definitely in the forward end there. That being said, it's still easy. It's still easy to know that they can do better than this, and I think they will. It's just going to take time. So tonight starts another week for the Rangers here. Tonight, as of this recording, against the Islanders at home before they go onto the road against Detroit and Nashville, and then finish it off on Sunday at home against Arizona, knocking out Detroit and Arizona pretty early this year. This is a team that we're looking at it now. I think they can go 3-1 this week. The one loss might come against the Islanders, or I could see it being against Nashville. Islanders, of course, I think are definitely a playoff capable team. Sorokin in net helps them out a lot. They went to the conference finals 2 years in a row before they missed the playoffs last year, and missing playoffs last year I think was definitely an outlier right now with the way that team is trending. Detroit, they could have beat Detroit on Sunday, so I think they can rectify what their issues were and beat Detroit even on the road in Detroit there and get that W. Nashville being a playoff team, got to respect them there. I think the Rangers have more capability to be able to handle that though. And then the Coyotes are an interesting one. They always know how to be a little of the David versus Goliath situation. They tend to be David more often than not, but they can pull off a win every now and then against teams that shouldn't have too much trouble with them. So we'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, that being said, 3-1 this week. Of course, they just got to play the games. Hopefully, the stuff that they need to fix does get fixed. The defense shores up a little bit, and the offense can play a majority of the game at a high level. But we'll see how it goes, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.